Welcome to the Mommy Mundo podcast. I'm Janice, founder of Mommy Mundo. And for those of you who may not be aware, Mommy Mundo is the most active multi-platform resource and community for moms in the Philippines. I founded Mommy Mundo more than 20 years ago with the purpose of providing information and support for newbie moms like me back then, and spent the last 2 decades following my passion and purpose. So this podcast is actually a dream come true. It's another way to reach fellow mamas like you and another way to share information and our stories about parenting and another way for us to help and inspire and empower each other. I like to say that we at Mommy Mundo are probably any mom's number one fan, number one cheerleader, and hopefully your motivator. Thus, the title of this podcast is You the Mom. We cheer you on, Mama. Okay, so this whole month, we will focus on the theme origins. And every week, we have a theme. We have Know It All Mom, where we talk about parenting, baby care, and pregnancy concerns. We have Mompreneur stories, which we're having today, and our mom story sessions, where we have raw and real conversations of mothers, and our mom wellness episodes as well with the Fab Four Mamas. So, as mentioned, today we're going to be guesting two of my favorite women and our pioneer mompreneurs in the Mommy Mundo community. They were with me at the very beginning of Mommy Mundo when we started advocating parenting, and through their products, active parenting, baby wearing, and attachment parenting, and breastfeeding, and all of the things we're passionate about. They pioneered brands for moms, and also we've been friends ever since. So I'm happy to have with us today. First of all, she is a mom of two boys, and she was very active. Actually, when I met her, she was probably one of the first moms I saw in Manila actually wearing her baby on her hip, and pioneered the word mompreneur with us, I think, and also is known as one of the yummy mommies of Indigo Baby. Let's all welcome Denise Gonzales Bernardo. Hello, Denise.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me here, Janice. I miss you.
I miss you too. But thank you for being here. I know it's challenging with the time difference and all, but thanks for saying yes. Of our second guest is hailing all the way from California. She is a pioneer as well, not only in the mompreneur scene, but also in her product line, which is lactation cookies.
Oh my
So
god.
back then, how many years has it been?
10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
milestone year for her. People did not know what lactation cookies were, so there's a lot of education involved, but she passionately grew her brand even until now, as she's while being away, which I can relate to. We'd like to welcome Poala Loot-Bronfman.
Yay!
Hello.
Thanks for having me here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, we've missed you in the scene, Paula, but we feel
I
your
missed
presence.
you guys. I missed you guys. I miss the
Yeah.
community so much.
We're grateful that there's technology keeping us together,
Yes.
even on IG and IG DMs and stories and all. And then now we have these platforms where we can still have conversations and share our stories, right?
Yes,
Still a
we're so
Definitely.
lucky. We're so lucky.
Without further ado, I'd like to go into our topic for today, which is Mompreneur Life. Let's talk about how you guys started as mompreneurs. Maybe start with Denise. Share your story about Indigo Baby, how you started, and I know you had a partner then, so please share with us your origin story.
Wow. Okay. Thanks so much for that. So, yeah, I'm Denise from Indigo Baby, and it was a business born out of the desire to not go back to work, not go back to work,
Yeah.
and just breastfeed our babies and enjoy being moms. I remember Monica and I were fresh out of college, 25-year-old, 24-year-old mothers,
Yeah.
and we were panicking about what we would do when the time would come that we would have to go back to work. So that's how we would talk about starting a business. And at that time, this was in 2006.
Yeah,
At that
2006.
time,
Wow.
there weren't there weren't many brands out there for young mothers like us. We didn't
Right.
like the colors available in the department store. We didn't like the prints. So we wanted to make stuff for ourselves,
Yeah.
stuff that we young 20 plus year old mothers could wear.
Yeah.
So that's how Indigo
So you
Baby
and
was
Monica
born.
were
And not just that,
friends from
yeah.
college, from school? This is Monica
Yeah,
Manzano. Hello,
yeah,
Monica.
yeah, Monica, my darling soul sister,
I
Monica
miss you
Manzano.
too.
Monica Eleazar Manzano was, we were college thesis mates, best friends and college thesis mates in Assumption. And we just really worked well together. We were able to, I think our thesis even won an award for
Wow.
best thesis. So we
Wow.
had good working styles.
Yeah. Complement
You
each
know,
other.
we complemented each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
we complemented each other, and we also believe in the same things. And I want to plug in here Elvira Manahan,
Yes,
because
yes.
she came to Assumption one day. I think it was in third year, and she gave us a talk about breastfeeding. And while she was giving her talk, she was
No, this
nursing
is
her
Elvira
7 or 8 year old
Enares.
Elvira
Enares.
Manahan. Enares,
Ay, si
yeah. So
Manahan?
she was,
Oh, okay.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So she
yes.
was breastfeeding her son, 7 years old, I think, and he was
Yeah.
standing beside her, and she was giving a talk, and he was hanging on her breast. And at that time, I was like, what the hell? Like, this is
Yeah.
something I may never need, but let me just keep this idea in the back of my head. And
Oh.
it was
Yeah.
because of her that when we had our own children, that's when I like took out that breastfeeding seed that was planted in college.
Wow.
And it was because of her that we really, pushed for breastfeeding. I always go back to the idea that it's us being Filipina, raised in a community where family is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And baby wearing, breastfeeding, attachment parenting, parang it just fell into place with all of that, with being a Filipina,
Yeah.
with being Catholic, with
So
growing up in the
what was
Philippines.
your first product when you set up Indigo? And why the name Indigo? Indigo
Okay,
Baby.
two things. Indigo Baby, at that time, we were like, we didn't know what to name it actually. And we researched about the indigo children. And if you're into energy and auras, um, the children born from the 1980s, further, the aura color changed from like a
Mhm.
dark blue, green. The auras of the kids after that in the 1980s pataas changed to
Oh.
an indigo shade. And actually, it's so funny because we thought initially that our children, the 2007 pataas, kala natin, they were the indigos.
Yeah.
But now, doing all our research, we're finding out that Monica and me, we are the indigo
Oh,
children pala.
that's so
And our
cool.
children, Penny, Santi,
You
Pax,
know what?
Maya, Lila, they are rainbow and crystal
Rainbow.
children. So,
Ah.
that was why, I
Counted
mean,
pa kaya ako
you
sa
can read
Indigo?
about it. Baka. Yes, kasama kasi may
Thanks.
waves yun eh. There are,
Okay.
no really, there are. So
Okay.
like one of the things about indigo children is that you sort of like have a very strong, you're very strong-willed, and you don't like authority, and you're very rebellious. And it's because of these children,
Yeah.
this mindset that innovations happen, when we
Disruptive,
sort
no?
of like pave
Disruptive.
the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ah,
yeah, pretty
nice.
cool. So that's why we named it, actually it was Indigo Manila at first, and
Yes,
then naging
Indigo
Indigo
Manila.
Baby, and then evolved now to just Indigo. So
Yeah.
our
It's
first
just Indigo
product
now.
was a nursing bib, which now evolved into the Boncho. And then we also had our jar of hope, which is a
Yes.
first aid gel with essential oils that really helped Santi, because Santi was a super high need baby. Like, he would be crying all the time, and nothing would work except essential oils. So at
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah, at
essential
the
oils
time there
were
was
super
nothing in
big.
the
Like,
market except for like imported
yeah.
stuff. So you
Oh,
started producing a
yeah.
skincare that was all natural, and Jar of Hope was one of the big like it was people were talking about it and hoarding it and
Mm-hmm.
all. And then your bib
Yeah.
was also one of the first pouches and attachment parenting
Yeah.
products in Manila. So, and you
Yes.
guys really live the
Yeah, because
brand,
our
right?
I super love the body show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, that's what we would always say na parang we were our first customers.
Yeah.
And I think, like going into the business side, and I'm sure Paula can relate also, like if you love what you do, or you love your product, or you
Yeah.
use your product, then it's so easy. You don't even
Yeah.
need to talk about how to market it, because you are your walking commercial. You are your walking ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's what
yung
happened with
Miran, when I
us.
started my own company, when you talk about it, even if it's just an idea, like I'm sure Paula as well, when you
Yeah.
share your story later, when you talk about it and your eyes light up when you're passionate. Paula, how about you? No, share with us how you started your company, Mommy Treats, and how you had the idea and what.
Oh
And
my
were you always
gosh.
a baker?
Yeah.
I want to ask you these questions I've never asked you before.
Okay. So 10 years ago, I gave birth to my first child and I had no idea. As in, no idea what to do. None of my friends had kids. So I felt really alone. Yung tipong, ano gagawin ko? And I was so adamant. I said, I did all the research. I want to breastfeed. And then when the breastfeeding parang moment came, oh my gosh, as in, back then kasi hindi pa uso yung breastfeeding classes and breastfeeding support. So all that I learned were parang all from the internet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't adequate kasi parang at that point I was like, oh my gosh, it's not as beautiful as it seemed.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of like times when I cried and I was just like feeling so down about it. And parang feeling ko the only thing that really pushed me to keep breastfeeding was like, I told myself na, you know what? I'll give myself a week. And then if it doesn't improve, then I'll probably let it go. But during like that point that I promised myself that week until the week after, parang things seem to improve naman. And I also read up in between. So parang sabi ko, okay. But then the time came na I was nearing my personal goal of going back to work. Kasi back then parang yun yung expected. Like you give birth, but then you go back to work. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like there's no other
Were
option
you
other than
corporate then? You were corporate before?
I was in academe, so
Okay, okay.
I was doing my master's before I got pregnant, and then I was doing research. So sabi ko I'll go back to that,
Yeah.
and I even promised my coworkers and my boss that I'm gonna go back. And so I asked myself, paano ko continue to?
Yeah.
I mean, my baby won't be here anymore. So it did improve, and things went on a really good routine. But then the thought of breastfeeding at work and making breastfeeding work from far away was just daunting because I didn't know what to do. Like when I read up on it, all the info there was about parang foreign like
Yeah.
laws and stuff. So parang I didn't know what was parang available to me. And then I started pumping.
Yeah. Pumping milk.
Okay. Yeah, and nobody told
Yeah.
me that it's normal to just see like
Yeah.
drops in the beginning.
Yeah.
And parang nobody told me na parang just because you see that small amount doesn't mean that's what you make. So I was really discouraged and everything, but I told myself, you know what? I'm gonna research, and I love research. As I said, that
Yeah.
was my background. So parang
Yeah.
I did that for so many years prior to getting pregnant. So sabi ko, I'm gonna do this. I'll do my like medical research on like what is like proven to help increase milk supply, what other countries do like as a natural thing. Because
Yeah.
gosh, I ate all the malunggay,
Yeah.
all of it, and made my hair nice, made my skin nice. Pero parang for some reason, I felt really good, but I needed an extra push
Yeah.
for my milk supply to really like like increase. So I found out that there are things that people like cook with in like different countries and other countries like India and Pakistan, and they're all natural ingredients. And then the more I research, there's a lot, but parang our malunggay is parang different in each country. Each country had their malunggay,
They're
which is
galactagogue.
a galactagogue.
Galactagogue.
And alam mo, I had to learn how to spell that. when I first read it, sabi ko, I'm never gonna use this word. And then eventually I was like, oh my gosh, galactagogue is a word that I have to learn.
Yeah.
Invented that word.
So, for the sake of people who refuse to learn the spelling, I just say
simple. Okay.
Ayun, so I found out that one of the ingredients was fenugreek. And then, I'm sorry, ang haba nito.
Okay, go ahead.
I love reliving this. If I imagine myself in that position, I went to Healthy Options and I purchased like a bottle of fenugreek, and it told me that I have to take 3 capsules at a time and 3 times a day. So that's 9 capsules the whole day. And one of the reasons why I got pregnant is because I'm not very good with taking pills.
So pills are not your thing.
No. No. So I was just not. Kailangan ba i-edit yun? Yeah, exactly, Denise. As in, sabi ko, I will forget.
I want cookies right now.
Exactly. Ako rin, and brownies. So I said to myself, parang, my gosh, I will keep forgetting to take these pills. And I found out that they cook with it. So I was like, why can't I cook with it? And I cooked with it, but then I was like, I love sweets. So I'm going to try to put it in cookies. So I started making my first batch, and it was wonderful. It was like, I felt like I came upon something that felt so right because I love doing it. It didn't feel like a chore. I love eating. It's like good. It gives me a reason to breastfeed. Kasi parang sabi ko, I'm rewarding myself. It was just a new approach that was very empowering. And I wanted to share it with other moms. I had no plans on making it into a business in the beginning. I started giving it to friends, especially the moms that I met along the way. And then they surprisingly asked me to bake some more for them. And somebody asked, so when are you going to sell this? And I'm like, sell?
Cool.
Kasi sabi ko pa, wala akong time. I'm going back to work. And then that person said, hey, that could be your work. That could be your business.
So it sparked an idea. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah. So you never went back to your master's?
I never. So that took a sideline. And I think with motherhood, like a lot of things suddenly parang evolve. Like the things that are important to you suddenly different. And it doesn't make it any less important in some ways. But I'm actually so happy that I found something that makes me feel energized to wake up and work. Alam mo yun?
Get up out of bed, right? That's passion. And I remember both of you, because of your businesses, became like moms would reach out to you not only because of your products but because they needed help with breastfeeding and all the advice. Like remember in Expo Mom, the moms would stay in your booth and consult about every single thing. Like, how come I don't have milk? How come ganyan? Like nagiging consultation on. So how did that? Do you have stories about that? I mean, both of you for sure have experiences. Like, I know, Paula, like moms would text you in the middle of the
Oh,
night
oh my gosh.
about
Like
breastfeeding and all.
my customers would text me at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I think it's because that's the time that when it's really quiet for
Yeah,
them. They're
yes.
breastfeeding, or sometimes it's the time that they're exhausted beyond their mind,
Yeah.
and they have a baby latched on them or refusing to latch on them, and it's
Yeah.
just tough. And then parang they start researching on how to increase milk supply. They come across mommy treats, and then they message me, and I'm one of the rare people who reply because
Yeah.
I'm
I know.
also awake at that time.
Yes. That's how it is.
Breast,
That's
yeah,
mompreneur life, right? So that's
yeah,
that's our
Yeah.
next topic, mompreneur life.
yeah.
Same here. Like when I started Mommy Mundo, the early years, I would do my email blasts at 2 a.m. because the
Mm-hmm.
kids finish na, but the day's done. You're done with all the things you have to do. The kids are
Yeah.
asleep. That's your quiet time. And I will email blast my
Yeah.
directory for Expo Mom, the very first one. And I remember yung sumasagot was Maricel of Medela Moms, parenting
Yeah,
emporium now. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Maricel's like, why are you awake? Then I'll reply back,
Why
why
are
are you
you awake?
awake?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Denise? So,
The same. Like I
yeah.
would be messaging suppliers at night, sales
Mhm.
reports, and they'll reply right away. Hey, thanks. I'm like, what the hell are you doing awake? And they're like, well, what? It's the
Mom.
same thing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
mompreneur life. So, how was it in the early years juggling everything? Remember at the beginning, we were all in one, right?
Yeah.
Production,
Yeah.
order, lahat. The quality check, sales,
Uh,
marketing.
yeah.
Denise, how
My
was it in
gosh.
the beginning? Like, you were making your own products too, or were you having it
Yes.
made and all? Tell us about that, like how
Yeah.
you and Monica were living
Oh
life
my
as
gosh.
mompreneurs.
One of the stories that I really will never ever forget is the night before the Mommy Mundo Bazaar in Rockwell. I think 2 day bazaar yun or 3 day.
Yeah.
And we were so lucky. Monica's parents lived in Manansala,
Yeah.
Rockwell. So we
Mhm.
were living in San Juan at the time. So they were like, guys, sleep over here. Don't
Over.
even
Yeah.
bother driving home at night. Wala kaming yaya, okay? So we were there in the unit, putting stickers late at night on our bottles, bouncing. Monica was bouncing on that exercise ball, breastfeeding Santi. We were putting the kids to sleep. So we're bouncing there on the ball, putting stickers, preparing our flyers, preparing everything for the bazaar the next day, early morning. Ingress, after all these years,
Yeah.
I still don't like Ingress. It
I
still like
know.
really stresses me out, but I've been doing it for so many years. But so the next day Ingress, and we were so funny because we brought, I remember one of our first products was this baby nappy clutch,
Nappy clutch.
and
Yeah,
we
I
made
remember
I
that.
think 200 or 300 pieces, and they were like, oh, how many pieces are we gonna bring? We're like, bring everything that's gonna sell in 5 minutes, and we brought everything. Our whole booth was exploding with items. We didn't even know how to decorate. Wala kaming shelf or anything, so it was just exploding with all the nappy clutches, all the bibs, all the bottles, and then Monica and me baby wearing and breastfeeding at the same time. So
The
80
mompreneur,
pieces.
we had 10 mompreneur booths in Expo. Corner. We called it the mompreneur
Grabe.
corner.
Yeah, yeah.
Ten.
And people were saying, mompreneur, what's
Ano
that? Mom
yan?
entrepreneur, mom entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Why did you invent that word? No naman. It's like people were using it in the States, but in
Yeah.
Manila,
Wala pa,
mompreneur.
oo.
And then they'd call themselves yummy mommies. So, yummy.
Yummy mommy.
Parang
Oo.
nasha-shock pa yung mga tao, yummy
Oo.
mommies. But
Actually,
actually,
people are
Yummy
saying,
naman
why
talaga eh.
why did we use yummy mommy? Because if you Google yummy mommy, it's a bit bastos.
yeah, that's
Yan, may mooning and groaning na. Pero, diba? So I tried to change it. So, there's a mix naman. Yummy mommy indigo, you'll see indigo, and then you'll see the nuts. So, not, yeah, and
you
not for
balanced
this
it out.
podcast.
How about you, your early years? How
Oh
was
my
it?
gosh.
I remember your
Early
mom would be
years.
with you. She would be
Yeah.
helping.
So it was just me, and I have pictures of baking, and my baby would be in my baby carrier.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah.
But
But we survived.
that's the thing that worked for me. And but I remember back then I would only bake siguro mga twice or 3 times a week for maybe an hour.
Mhm.
And sabi ko, this is a good sideline. Sabi ko, this is really good. This is a good sideline. And really, I wasn't awake to the idea that being a mompreneur was possible. Na parang sabi ko, I have to go back to work and corporate, ganyan. I didn't know that I was in the beginning of your life.
Yeah.
And parang yung balancing, habang tulog yung anak mo, you're doing something for work, and later ko si Sufin.
Yeah.
Eventually, when she started eating, like and I just realized that if you have excess product, parang you eat it, and I don't have any issues with that. I was happy. Sabi ko, my God, sobrahan ng mga 20 cookies.
Yay!
Like, yay!
Yeah.
But I think I was doing that on purpose. Yeah, it was fun, and also a little, when it got a bit bigger, it was a little daunting kasi you're putting up
Mom happens to multiply. Yeah.
multiply pa natin, uploading pictures,
Yeah.
and then posting it on your Facebook. I just told myself na, how am I going to balance all of this? At one point, how am I going to balance all of this? Parang, I'm baking it, I'm taking care of the baby, all at the same time, packing it, calling the rider, the courier, checking payments, making sure that I'm fulfilling things, and then making sure that it was profitable rin. My mom just said, how much have you earned? And I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'm having fun.
Yeah. Kasi nga, yung mga rejects nga hindi ka.
Yun, but you know what? I surprised myself. So,
right? I mean, even our product lines, like it grew from the stages that we were at in our motherhood. Like Denise eventually had products for wellness, right? And then you had so many lines as well. And then Paula eventually brought in the car seat, the MyFold, and all that. So even Mommy Mundo, like we started with breastfeeding, and then we had like kids events, and then we had, because now the kids were also growing. Speaking of growing, no, I'm really actually a very shy person. I mean, if you remember in the beginnings of Expo Mom, I wouldn't even, I mean, the stories and all, I'd rather have room talk or get a host. Ganyan. But now, parang I realized, because we share our stories, it can touch people like the way that Elvira touched you and planted the seed of breastfeeding in your mind. I mean, maybe someone's listening to us right now and we're also planting a seed, or maybe even making them inspired to move on their dreams and their goal, right? Or just making them believe that it can happen. Like, we never thought that we would be doing this full time. Even Mommy Mundo was just like, oh, I just want to do an event, like a 10 kahit 10 moms lang dumating. Happy na ako.
Who would believe though? And then now, looking down.
So now, how did you grow as a person? Like, how did Mompreneur push you? Because it's not, diba they say, in discomfort, there's growth. So like me, even if like I'm sweating buckets and I have acidity before every talk I do until now, how did you guys like grow, and what exactly did you have instances where you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone and you realized, whoa, I can do this? Denise, you want to start?
I remember when I graduated from Assumption, my second job actually was working with my grandfather. He had just gotten well from cancer, and he opened Naturally Yours organic products. And it was because of him we got into the whole wellness industry, because he changed all the products in our
Hi, Benny.
house.
He's the one that Denise was baby wearing.
Yeah, that's him. My God. He's now.
How old is Benny now?
13.
Wow.
With an ex-girlfriend na, my goodness.
Ex-girl. Oh, he
Yeah,
broke someone's heart.
crazy. Yeah, COVID broke his heart.
Oh
But
no.
yeah,
Okay.
but so yeah, so parang my grandfather started Naturally Yours organic products, and I worked with him. So I learned, that's where I learned
Ah.
yung mano-mano, kasi the Indian style, I think similar to the
Hi,
Chinese style. Taxi So the Indian style, I forget the name, but there's a notebook and pencil one by one. And then the
Oh
petty
yeah.
cash in the store is a super uneven number, or hindi siya flat number, so hindi siya 500, like 543.25 cents. Receive your sales and you do your expenses at the end of the day. Dapat
Yeah.
nagtatali yan down to the last centavo, and my grandfather would scold me if I'm missing 1 centavo. So I learned from
Yeah.
him how to
Ah,
do that book.
yeah.
It's called, there's a term to it, but he said, no, I don't want to do it in the computer. We're doing it in that journal
Notebook.
book. We're gonna do it every single day in the morning. And he would check, in the morning he'll come in with a petty cash. In the evening he won't sleep until he checks it and magtatali siya. So I learned from him. And entrepreneurship wasn't an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It has lots of pros and cons. There were many times I wanted to just give up, and one of the times I wanted to give up, my grandmother was the one that told me, Deneen, she calls me Deneen. Deneen, think of all the lives that you are helping. Think of all
Mm-hmm.
the mothers
Yeah.
Yeah.
whose lives you are helping. So don't give up. Diba? And
Yeah.
another thing naman my grandfather told me was, because me, I'm so kalat. I do so many things. And Janice knows this. In Mommy Mundo, I'm a host, I'm a dancer, I'm
Yeah. That's
selling,
not
and
that's not kalat. That's called versatile.
Okay, I'm very versatile, but my
Yes.
grandfather's advice to me was, Deneen, every moment you spend away from your business is time, energy, and money that you're sacrificing. So at that time, kasi I was still nagsa-sideline host for work. I was still doing advertising on the side. I was dancing. It was taking a lot of my time. And yeah, Indigo was there. Indigo was earning, but I wasn't paying attention to it. So when you asked about how I grew as, I guess, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it was how to spend my energy on things that had the biggest and most returns. And it's not just about money. It's more about, like what Paula was saying, being a mother. At the end of the day, the
Yeah.
bazaar can fail, the business can
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
fail, but being a mother is my number one.
Yeah.
And there would be times when Bogey, my husband, would tell me, you want to be a work at home mom, you're not a mom, you're just working. I was practically
Oh, yes.
throwing my children to whoever, don't bug me, I'm busy, I need to finish the sales report
Yeah.
now. And then
Yeah.
Bogey was the one that said, wait, no, I needed to find the balance
Yeah.
between,
Right.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's why we would end up working madaling
Yeah.
araw.
Yeah.
But then also on the flip side of that, it wasn't self-care for
Yeah.
me. So I
Actually,
think
Yeah.
I needed also,
that's
yeah,
the but thanks for sharing, Denise. I love your stories about your
yeah,
grandparents and all the wisdoms talaga that was passed on, no. We have to take it with us. And actually our kids learn from
yeah,
us that way as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I wanted to talk about one of the challenges of mompreneur life is the balance, right? And
Oh yeah.
especially when you're a home-based mompreneur. There's some mompreneurs who have of course they have the offices and all, but for home-based mompreneurs, um
yeah,
being able to be a mom and a entrepreneur at the same time in one space is a challenge. And
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
yes,
when you're home and working and the kids want to
mahirap,
play and you're like you have to
yeah,
finish something, they feel like,
yeah,
oh, mom's not there for me. As opposed to the mom who's
yeah,
working, parang, oh yeah, she's at work anyway, like that.
yeah,
So how did you ever feel that, Pao, na kasi when we're
Oh
in,
yeah.
like, how will we for example, orders are coming in and you have to process and all the moms are texting you and then your kid's like, Mom, can we play? Can you play? Can you play? Tapos you're like, for a
Oh,
while, right?
definitely. Especially because si Yufine, my
Yeah.
eldest was a notorious magnanakaw ng
Yeah.
ng products ko. And I believe me,
My pilferage.
I've sent multiple messages, siguro more than 5, maybe 10 messages to different people over the years saying, I'm so sorry. Can I give you a refund? Or like, it's up to you. I could like bake again tomorrow kasi kulang ng 2 pieces or kulang ng 1 piece.
Oh my.
Yeah, kasi kinain ng anak ko. And
Yeah.
parang you want to be professional, but then that's the
Yeah.
situation. Like, you're
That's the
forced to
truth.
just like, yeah, you're just forced to accept the situation.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
oh my gosh.
And then you have to think na lang that, like me, I would always think, I'm a mom with a business. I'm a mom
Yeah.
with a business.
Yeah.
This is my choice.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when I'm a bit off balance, I just think, diba? It's still a blessing, right? And then you
Yeah,
just manage it that way and then talk to Sophine.
yeah, I
Anak.
keep telling myself talaga na, you know what? It's really tough. But you know what? That's the little price that you pay to
Yeah.
be able to do something that you love and be with your child at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Kasi
Yeah.
parang I'm not really good with parang memories. I think it's the excessive drinking in college. But I
It took out some brain cells ba?
yeah.
No, it's anesthesia, pal. Anesthesia
Yeah.
yon.
Okay, sorry.
Don't think about the
but I remember there was this one person who said, "Don't blink because your children will grow so fast." Something like that.
So fast.
Yeah, and parang
Yeah.
that's how I felt during the first few months, especially with your first child. I'm sure everyone feels that way. Na parang they're growing so fast and you're so consumed by motherhood, this new thing, this new life, and this wonderful pooping, crying thing that you
Machine.
still love. Like who pooped all over you, but you're just like, oh, you're so cute.
Oh, you pooped all over me. Oh.
And to be able to also work, and it's exactly what Denise said. Na parang our generation grew up na you're gonna go through college, graduate, end up working in a corporation, have a boss, but not really be your own boss. And I didn't have anyone who really told me that I could be my own boss.
Yeah.
But I'm so lucky that this opportunity presented itself. And then I was so parang enamored by the whole experience of earning, doing something that I'm happy to do, and then have my child with me. Parang I'm not missing out on anything. Kasi that was my fear na parang, okay, I'm gonna go back to working. But honestly, a big chunk of me just wants to stay at home. But it's not an available thing for everyone.
Yes, right.
And, you know, that's why kapag mahirap yung situation, like you're in a really tough rut in work, I'm just telling myself na I'm lucky, super lucky na I'm at
That
least
it's
I'm with my
possible.
child. Yeah.
So Pao, in what ways did you grow? Like the Paula before and the Paula now?
Oh my gosh. The Paula before
Mommy treats and the Paula with mommy treats.
to be on like people who add me on Facebook or who go through my Facebook. No, I'm an open book. Literally, you don't have to add me on Facebook to go through my stuff. Like you'll see everything. It's open for everyone. And people will see how much I partied. I had this like do really good at work, do really good in school, like study hard but party harder. My whole thing. I'm like, sister naman ako. Yeah, sister ako, pero grabe, I work really hard and stay up all night. But then, you know, like every mom who's like that, parang I think a good chunk suddenly become more calm or sort of
settled.
like
Maybe settled.
settled,
Yeah.
at peace with not always going out. But in became since my business is in the food industry, I became more inclined to bake, and
Uh-huh.
that's when a lot of people ask me when
Yeah.
they do interviews, when they ask me about mommy treats, like, have you
Yeah.
always been a baker?
Yeah.
And the honest answer is no. I
Yeah.
said I
So you learned it on
and
your
then
own.
if I were
Galing.
if I were to be more honest, I hated baking
Yeah.
because it was too exact. Yeah,
Too
sorry,
exact.
because
Yeah.
it was too exact
Yeah.
of a science. But I love cooking, loved it, but I didn't like that baking was a science. Now you can't just like
Yeah.
inject certain
Yeah.
things without understanding the whole formula behind it.
Mm,
And I was lucky to be able to parang make the cookies in the beginning. I found a recipe online. That's where it started. But I said to myself, I don't want to just make something that is easily parang replicated and
mm,
doesn't have any touch of Paula in it. Parang I
yeah.
had goals rin. Parang I was gaining weight. So sabi ko, sabi ko I want this to be calorie controlled at least because there's so much sugar in it. I wanted to cut out ton of sugar and improved from the already good parang recipe. I wanted to improve it. And then so I studied. I spent time parang dedicating to parang further knowledge and
Yeah.
further education. And I could be a baker pala.
Yeah. My gosh, you're
Wow.
so good. I mean, you did cookies, then you did your brownies, and then you started doing your chocolate spoons and all. I mean,
Yeah, everything, like we
I
had
love
muffins,
your muffins.
we
Yeah.
had
I'm
macarons,
getting
we
hungry.
have, oh my gosh.
I miss your products.
Yeah, and
one
event
of the things that kept me survived in the bazaars was receiving
Yeah.
freebies from you. And that
Yeah.
would help
yeah.
I
me
have
get
I have a
through.
kwento about that. Like my favorite, one of my favorite Expo Mom kwentos. So, I think it was Risa Manangkil Trillo who came. She was pregnant with her daughter at the time. And Paolo, her husband, was in the basketball scene, right? And they brought along mga PBA people, like friends, couple friends there. And that's with the row of basketball players on one side. Then their wives were shopping.
Yeah.
And they happened to be in front of your booth. So they're like, oh, just talking. And then I'm not sure if it was you or one of your people, but like parang, sir, samples. And then they're like, oh, and then they're gonna get
Yeah.
like that. And then lactation cookies po. Ay, tapos they didn't want to get that. I was like, guys, you won't lactate. You won't
Yeah.
Yeah.
lactate. People think it'll make milk if you're not
I
lactating.
that's one of the best parang pranks that a lot of moms and have been doing with their husbands, and I'm all for it.
Right? But
Yeah.
it's actually healthy cookies, right? So healthy
Super,
Yeah.
goodie.
super healthy, super
Yeah.
yummy.
But I want to
I
know,
love
so
that.
how has business been for both of you? Like for you, Pao, besides being away with the pandemic going on, and Denise as well,
Mhm.
how's it been, mompreneurs have, of course, it's MSME, so we're all challenged to, the word of the year, pivot our businesses and all.
Mhm.
So how have you been able to manage things? Pao.
Well, with
Denise, go
oh,
ahead. Yeah.
sige.
Yeah.
Sorry. For me with Indigo, the first few months was really challenging. Because yun, parang everything halted, everything stopped, people stopped ordering. Even at that time I was teaching a lot of yoga classes and all of that stopped. So super challenging. But the great miraculous thing about life is that life goes
Yeah.
on despite all of that. So, slowly the orders started coming in, and it really gave me more time to focus on, like what else can I do? Like, how can I promote Indigo? How can I make Indigo an essential and make it available for people that want it, diba? And then the great thing also is that Mommy Mundo had their first now they had two, but the first time, diba, was
Virtual.
the first online, the virtual marketplace, which was, so exciting for me because as a mompreneur who was so used to doing bazaars, suddenly, of course, Mommy Mundo would be the pioneer to do it,
Yeah.
right? So it
Woohoo!
was so nice
Yeah.
to be part of that. And then even later on, now you have Mommy Mundo Learns, which gives us an avenue to share what we know, in a place, in a learning space, and share with other moms who, want to know things about, things like breastfeeding, baby wearing, cloth diaper, how
Yeah.
to, deal with all of these things that comes with being a mom. So, I mean, it's been challenging, but at the same time, this year has really like taught me how to slow down, how to spend, the by your
Yeah.
tagline last year was make time for silly or make time
And
for
make
what
time for what
matters. And
matters.
that's
Yeah.
what went make time for what matters. 2020 has been hashtag make time for what matters
That's
talaga,
true.
diba?
That's true.
Like slapped in our
Yeah.
face. No choice, but make
That's a
time for what
perfect theme,
matters.
right? I mean, we didn't know this was
Yeah,
coming,
yeah,
but then we're like,
talaga.
oh my gosh, it's super
Yeah,
exacto.
yeah, yeah.
So how about you, Pao? How has it been for you? You've been to
Oh
two
my
countries.
gosh,
Well,
where
you
do I
moved to
start?
Beijing first, and then now you're in California.
Yeah, I think it was a
Yeah.
multiple stage process. Na the if we're talking about like tough things that we had to go through, it was me taking a step back, um because I knew that when I married my husband, who's an expat, who's based really in the US, that eventually we're gonna leave the Philippines. That was hard because I never really saw myself away from my business. And it's parang, I know it's so cliche. People say, my business is my baby. Pero totoo ah. As in, but then you tell yourself your business grows like a baby, it'll grow. And then eventually you have to parang let it grow in the direction that it wants to grow. And you just shouldn't hold it back. And so I said to myself, I need to hire the right people, the
Yeah.
people that I trust, the people who see my vision, who believe in the things that I believe in as well. And eventually I found a really good team. And then 2020 came. So I was able to manage it from Beijing, same time zone. So it was easy.
Yeah.
I would look over operations. But from, like a supervising
Yeah.
stage, parang I was able to train my staff. I was lucky to train them for 2 years. Na
Yeah.
I keep reminding them na alis ako, alis ako. So we have to do this na without me. So that's why people started seeing me less in bazaars. Kasi
Yeah.
I found that they were nervous.
Yeah, when you're
It
there.
was
They
when
step
I'm
up.
there.
They step up when you're
Yeah,
not, no? Yeah.
yeah. And then and parang feeling ko I was holding them back as well because I was being a medyo
Helicopter
helicopter
boss.
mom. Alam mo yun?
Mom boss.
Helicopter boss. Yeah.
Helicopter boss.
Yeah. And I had to come to terms na parang they will never be the exact clone of me, but that's
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
because they being a different person, they also have so much to offer that I can't
Yeah.
offer to the
I have to
business.
say your team's pretty good. Like very
I'm
efficient.
happy.
Yeah.
But you know what? 2020 was really tough kasi when
Yeah.
2020 came in, I was lucky enough to be in the Philippines for 1 month in Feb. But because we found out that COVID couldn't let us back into Beijing anymore, so
Yeah.
we had to repatriate to the US. So we moved to the US. I moved everything. Actually, I didn't move it. But when we left Beijing, we thought that we were going on a vacation.
Yeah.
So somebody else moved it for us, and it took forever. And in the midst of that, the business had to change time zones.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
when I got to the US, suddenly Philippines went into quarantine.
Yes.
And my gosh, I didn't know what to do because in the beginning parang if they can't go to work, that means there's no production of any product and
That's
that means
right.
I can't sell anything. And then we had to make things work by adjusting time, parang baking days and deliveries. We took a break for a week. And I remember I was writing an email to someone 2 days ago and explaining what happened to Mommy Treats in the past for 9 months or 10 months. And I said, when we took a break for 1 week, while everyone was on that first week of quarantine, I quickly realized that my whole team relied on the salary that they're getting from Mommy Treats. So it's no longer just worrying about your sales. Now
That's
it's
right.
worrying about your staff. Kasi
Yeah.
our team's super small, so they're like family to me, and I know their
Yeah.
asawa, their anak, and parang I couldn't do it in good conscience to continue with staying home and not like continuing with the production. So it was
Yeah.
like we had to make sure that everything's safe since it's in food industry. So I had to hire a
Right.
ride, like a driver to pick them up and all of these things. Um, I told my team that I wanted 2020 to be remembered as the year when we gave more than we received. So definitely, we didn't make the same amount that we would
Yeah.
normally make. We definitely, I decided to let go of everything that I would normally receive, like
Yeah.
all profits, all
Yeah.
salaries, just so that I could support my team, because this team is the reason that it exists, that Mommy Treats exists. And if I
Yeah.
don't take care of them, there's no more Mommy Treats to go home to if
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
able to fly back in Manila. So
Yeah. So right
yeah,
now you're operational, like you're able to serve
we're
orders.
we're operational, but maybe not
Yeah, I
profitable.
know. I mean, right now is I actually told my
Yeah.
team this is the sustaining time.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
just have to keep it afloat, keep it going,
Keep
and
it
hopefully
afloat.
2021 will
Mhm.
be better, right? And
And
then yeah,
take care of the people, because
yeah,
this is really
exactly.
tough for everyone. Parang if you're in a good
Exactly.
position to make sacrifices so that your team could
Yeah,
still stay on board and be supported, then
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why parang it's really a time to think about what's really important, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
yeah, but it hasn't been easy for a lot of us. But
Mhm.
we're okay. It's still good. I mean, hopefully 2021 will be better.
Yeah.
And then I liken 2020 to like a pirate ship. Like we're all in this ship. We'll put up the sails and we'll go together and we'll go through the tide and all.
No
And
matter
then
how
next
rough
year is
the
like
waves
next
are.
year naman is like a big oak tree na parang we're putting down the roots into a new
Yeah.
way. You know, we don't know what's gonna
Yeah.
happen next year, but we just have to keep growing and flowing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've grown so much from our 20 somethings to now more. To now
Oh
more.
my gosh. To now more.
More
Now more.
years, wrinkles, and all.
I want to ask you guys just of maybe name one challenge of mompreneur life, other than what we've discussed. What was one big challenge, and then one also blessing or advantage that you felt? How about you, Denise?
Challenge and blessing. Well, I mentioned this a while ago, but one of my
Yeah.
biggest challenges talaga is um, learning. There's one memory that came to mind while you asked that question, and it was me. I think Benny was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I was sitting by my computer, like super stressed because I had to really do something. It was in the afternoon, and at that time, parang I remember preschool. So I would have a window in the morning from 8 to 11. I would drop him, come back home, have like an hour and a half to work, and then I'm in my groove na of working. Then biglang, I have to pick him up. So I would have to go and pick him up and then bring him home. And then I want to work, but he doesn't want to nap. And and it was so hard. And I remember another mom with an older child, Waldorf school din siya, sabi niya, she gave me a story about naughty red horse,
Okay.
and the horse was like
Ooh.
just kicking his legs and like making wala. And the moral of the story was the horse will only stop kicking around when you pay attention to it. And for me, I really just had to turn my lap, fall through the
Yeah.
day, and spend time with him. And now you saw him. He's 13 years old, teenager na, and I miss those days because like rare na yung occasion na he'll say, "Mom, draw with me."
Yeah.
Wala na yan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
Oh.
went by. It really went by so fast.
Blink of
And
an eye.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I have Paxi, who's 7, who still asks me to hug him at night, diba?
Yeah.
And it was actually Jen Chuatan,
Gentan. Yeah.
next 9, who told me na parang yun nga, like, because I said there's my kids are so heavy. Like, I remember Benny's so heavy. He always wants me to be carried. I love the baby pouch, but my gosh, my back is aching. And she goes, just carry him as much as you can because one day you won't even be able to carry him
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
True.
And I look at him today and I'm like, yeah, that it really, like, when you're in it, when you're
Yeah.
floating in the
Overwhelmed.
stages of new mom,
Oh yeah.
breastfeeding, baby, changing diapers, no sleep. When you're in it, it feels like forever. But my gosh, we're here to tell you that those days
Yeah.
pass. And when
Mm-hmm.
those days pass, you're gonna miss it and you're gonna look back to it. I miss
Yeah.
breastfeeding, diba? I remember saying, oh, I'm gonna nurse my kids until they're college. And then at 3 years old, I'm like, ayoko na, pagod na ako. So I guess, the challenge for me talaga was balancing all of
Yeah.
that. And the blessing is really, really, priceless, is being able to watch these boys grow up,
Yeah.
knowing na parang I didn't miss out on, it's the little things, eh. It's the little things. So,
Yeah.
knowing that I didn't miss out on the little things.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that my husband allowed me to continue doing what I'm doing, even if sometimes, are you even earning? And I'm like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
I don't.
continue doing it, diba? I
Right.
don't know. I'm not good with numbers. Basta ako masaya. Diba? I'm having fun in my bazaars. Leave me alone. But to have a partner to say, go. Diba? That's a
Yeah.
special thing also. So that for me is a big blessing to
Yeah.
be able to have,
Okay. I
this
mean,
balance of
I would interject here that having a partner who's supportive is super important. Like,
yeah.
Super.
if our partner or husband doesn't understand or appreciate
Mhm.
the mompreneur life, it's always going to be like a push and pull. It's just another
Mm-hmm.
thing pulling you away, or
Mhm.
it's another dilemma that you have to deal with. But if they're
Oh yeah.
supportive, it really helps. Like, even so, kudos to Gary as well
Yeah.
for dealing
Yeah.
with everything. Like when we
Yeah.
can't be there,
I just
kunyari
want to say,
PTC. Yeah,
oo.
go.
Sige, no, I just wanted to add
Yeah,
before I forget. There'd be
sure.
times talaga like where I'm like struggling and I'd be like, Bogey, what? I'm gonna get a call center job na. Hindi ko na kaya. Like, you need help. I can see. And he's like, D, he'd always say, D, you have a business. Focus on it. Nandyan na yan eh. Just
Yeah,
keep at it. And me, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna become a real estate broker. I want quick money, diba? He'd
that's right.
always be like, Denise, you have Indigo. Make Indigo big. And I'm like, how? So those are the challenges. But sticking at
Ako
it,
naman si Gary is like,
you know.
Kuya, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. He's like, okay, okay, okay.
Mm.
Siguro out of the 10 ideas, he'll clip lang my idea if
Uh-uh.
it's like super outrageous. Maybe once out of the 10, but
Yeah.
otherwise he's just gonna let me
Yeah.
dream and do it. And then yun nga, I was
Yeah.
about to say that,
Oh, that's
and when
good.
you can't be there, like for example, I've missed maybe a few PTCs because I had a call or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's there, so you don't feel
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
guilty. Like, guilt as another thing we deal with as mompreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
step
So
up.
Pao,
Yeah.
how about you?
Thanks,
What's your
It's
partnership.
challenge?
gosh, it's very similar. Alam mo, I think that's the thing about mompreneurship. There's at the core of it, it's very similar. It's
Yeah.
not just the whole. It's not just being an entrepreneur, a business owner. Eh. That's why you put the mom part in the mompreneur.
Yeah.
Parang a big chunk of it is all the inspiration, motivation that you get from your child,
Yeah.
and then you allocate that abundance into your business. And that's why parang a lot of these products are connected to experiences with their child.
Yeah.
Whether it's like something that's connected to baby wearing, something that's connected to breastfeeding, something connected to when they grow old and it's a car seat,
Yeah.
or like a binder or a play toy, something like that. And parang one of the biggest blessings for me is to realize na um, all of that motivation, all of that inspiration, that creativity came from that opportunity that I got from my
Yeah.
child. Parang feeling ko without that, I wouldn't be pushed so much forward into the entrepreneur life. And that's why parang I'm so happy that I'm a mompreneur, not just a regular entrepreneur,
Yeah.
because there's so much to get from that, so much
Yeah.
abundance from that relationship, being a mom, that role,
Yeah.
and a mother to someone. And I guess the challenge talaga is that balance. You're right, it's the balance, because there are two different roles and you want to be good at both, but there will be times that you won't be good at both. And to be honest, parang that's normal, and it's almost impossible to be perfect with at both parang roles.
Everything.
But
Yeah.
protect that one that gives you the abundance of motivation, of passion, of like inspiration, and that's being a mom.
Being a
Like
mom. Yeah.
protect that role, kasi at the end of it all, um well, also being a wife, ha, you're right.
Yeah.
Kasi sometimes there will be times na you're always on your phone and I'm just like, wait lang, I'm processing orders.
That's
and
right.
and then but you have to take a pause and understand that they're not attacking you, they're making their needs known.
That's
And
right.
Mm-hmm.
without them, without the support of your husband, without the amazing gifts of motivation, inspiration, and creativity from your child, your business is not going to be where it's at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yun, I think that symbiotic relationship is something that I realized with
Yeah.
mompreneurship. Yeah.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
So
did they say now nga with all the we have to be politically correct, like people are saying, why do you have to say mompreneur? You're an entrepreneur. Why do you have to put mom into the word? You know, like, di ba people will
Yeah.
say, um, it's like saying that we're small or something. But for me, being a mompreneur is really different because of that extra role that we play as
Yeah.
moms. So for me, just own the term, mompreneur,
Yeah.
and be proud of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for your sharings, guys. Before we go, I want to leave our listeners here with maybe a nugget of motivation that you can give them. Like, think of the moms who are listening who are probably have been sitting on an idea.
Uh-huh.
Ang daming new entrepreneurs now with the pandemic in Manila. Like, oh my gosh, everyone's
Isn't that
Yeah.
suddenly
amazing? Yeah.
amazing, and I want to
Everyone's
order food and
cooking.
stuff, but I can't.
Yeah.
So there are moms who might be sitting on an idea, just not knowing how to start, or being
Mhm.
afraid to start,
Mhm.
or moms who are having challenges, mompreneurs who are having challenges. So as very experienced
Mhm.
entrepreneurs the past 10 years, what advice, one
Mhm.
piece of advice that you can leave them with?
I would say just keep at it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just keep at it. There's that saying, keep calm and carry
Yes,
on.
yes.
And like what we said in the beginning of the this interview, we don't know what seeds we're planting.
True.
And like I'm a firm believer in ripple effect.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like something that I'm gonna say, something that you might hear from me today, you might not use it right away, but later down the line, my hope is that something that you heard, you'll be able to use it and make something out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just keep at it and have that heart, continue with the heart, because at the end of the day, it's really about our heart. You know, it's
Yeah.
what the creativity, the passion, all of that, your heart. And us as moms and women, I think that's our special edge that we have.
Yeah.
It's that heart that makes us, you know, cry when we're
Mm-hmm.
tired, that makes us angry when we're not getting our way, that makes us push even if everything else is saying no, no, no,
Yeah.
diba?
And it's
So,
also what makes us
yeah, yung puso
successful
na
in business, the heart. Because people know that we create
heart.
products or services
Yeah.
that that we love, and
Yeah.
it's out of love as well,
Yeah.
right?
And it's not, yeah. Oh, it's not just about making profit. It's like created, yun nga, there's a story behind it. That's what's
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful about now nga with the COVID. Parang people are realizing, people are supporting
Yeah.
businesses because they know that people are doing it
Yeah.
because it's out of love. We want
Yeah.
to do it, we want to share, and people are going to spend that extra
Yeah.
money, which is so special because the money is like people are holding
That's
on to their
right.
money, but they're going to spend it because they know that I'm going to help a person by giving
Yeah.
them, by buying her ube pandesal because
Yeah.
she
Correct.
put so much heart in doing
Yeah.
that. Diba?
Correct. That's
Or,
true. That's
or the
true.
mommy drink, diba?
That's
It's ube
right.
pandesal fest.
Ube,
That goes
ube
with coffee
pandesal with
right now.
galactagogues with Fenugreek.
Yeah.
That sounds good, ah.
Uy,
Oo.
ideas, ideas.
Okay
Oh,
yan,
good
Pao, ah.
We'll
idea.
write it down.
Yeah.
Next product,
Padala mo
next
na sa
product.
Canada. Oh, how about you, Pao? What's your word of wisdom for
I
mom?
think don't forget that your product should have an impact to your community,
Mm.
because it's so easy to find a supplier or to replicate something that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
But for it to be parang for it to make a dent or to have a legacy that people will remember,
Mm.
it should involve something that's both you, alam mo yun, you put yourself, like there's a component of that that's you, and also that's about the people around
Yeah.
you. Parang it's not just like I'm going to make it super like me creative ganyan, but without listening to the feedback of other
Yeah.
people,
Right.
or you're just listening to the feedback of other people but your product is lost in that na parang wala nang creativity, wala nang thing about you, so people
Yeah.
could easily replicate it,
That's
diba?
right. That's right.
So don't forget that, and be brave,
Yeah, brave. Brave is the
because
another word of the
yeah, because
year.
it's so scary.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be so scary. Motherhood is scary.
Yeah.
Mompreneurship is scary. There will be times when you'll be like, ano ba itong ginagawa ko? Or
Yeah.
will like bring us down. Be brave.
Yeah.
Good things start small and they become big.
Yeah.
As yeah.
Love that.
Agree.
Yeah.
Love it, Paula. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both for your words of wisdom. I mean, there's nothing like mom speaking from the heart. I mean, we've been there and we want to share what we know. Actually, my word of advice to add is if you need help, reach out. Reach out when you feel
Oh yeah.
isolated. Because sometimes being a
Mm-hmm.
mompreneur is isolating, especially if you're home based. Like you're on the
Mm-hmm.
computer and you're talking to customers, but not really connecting.
Oh
So
yeah.
Yeah.
there's so many communities now, including Mommy Mundo, and even the three of us. Just send us a message, and
Yeah.
we'll be able to help, right,
Yeah.
in some way. So thank you, Denise and Paula, for being with me.
Thanks
I'm
so
so happy
much,
to spend time with
Janice.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
I
And
know.
to all who listened today, we hope that you're able to pick up something or just laugh with us and be with us in this journey of motherhood. Okay, so here we remember that mom life is something to be celebrated and cherished, and we believe that moms are also people who should be celebrated and cherished. So from us to you, we say, you the
You the
mom.
mom.